Welcome to GOKKAN Idol, where the audience voted and Storm Kiva is out once again. I'm your host, Titanium Ibuki. Joining me is the newly resurrected Space Boss. You know, you look awfully familiar. Don't worry about that, as we are left with just one finalist. So they automatically win? It's not that simple. But first, we're back to the dance portion of it. Next up is fan favorite Rita. Look at all those moves, styling, profiling, and absolutely stunning. You know, this just does absolutely nothing for me. Is there actually no plot going on this week? Kinda, sorta, not really. See, Gorma has made all the prisoners on GOKKAN good. But before he could do any real damage, Moth Minangan finally appears with real fun in store. Rita's technically doing all this to be undercover and find out what the Jesters are up to. Oh, that's it? That's not even a zesty story. Why am I here? To enjoy some Rita action. As next up, let's take a look behind the scenes as Coach MNG tries to give our next GOKKAN idol some tips and tricks to being one, as Rita's just been trying to hide their true self. So too has Mr. Moth here. Also, let's bring in some real idol energy for a moment with some fourth wall breaking. Is this what Sentai has become while I was dead? See, Spaceflies, this is where the context is key, as you're jumping in when we're nearly at the final stretch of the show here. The characters are out looking for more information on why Rita is doing what they're doing. Jeremy thinks it's coping with loss of the parents, but that ain't true. Rita's parents are still around. Himeno discovers Rita's childhood drawings of wanting to be an idol, so thinks that this is just an outlet. While Kira, with that weird ass ringtone. Oh wait, the final act is beginning. Let's tune in. Oh my god, this is amazing! Yo, Rita! So, what are the other squad mates doing while this one is distracted? I don't know any of these people, but that shit looks important. Oh my. This phallic-headed thirst trap. Don't ruin this. This is Rita's show now. Well, it looks like they already lost. Wait, what? Wait! I do remember you! Well, it looks like with this show lost, we can now crown Miss Pank Bangs as GOKKAN's idol! With us now going to the cold weather, where Red Guy seems to have found some angsty written fanfiction. You know, I have gone this entire review with anything to drink to show for it. Why was I even here? Y'all thought Spaceflies was gonna drink now that he's back? This episode? Nah. No. Bringing up that Rita feels like they don't belong with the rest of the kings. But that's not it. There is no subtext. Why do I feel like I've been talking to no one for like the last 10 minutes of recording? Oh yeah, that's right. That's because that's how recording usually goes. Anyway, it's here that we find out that the snow on GOKKAN isn't really snow, but foam. And everybody getting creamed. Ha ha ha! Yes! As Morphonia tries to lay the truth bomb about Rita. But that's still not it. It really is that all Rita was trying to do was going undercover to find the Jesters' weaknesses, and thus proceeds to 1v2 the Jesters, which really goes to show that these two suck at working together, since they just get in each other's way. Enough for Rita to remove the spell on their prisoners. What Goma had in store, we'll never know. But Mothman did have something alright. Rating time! This episode was probably the least happened episode we've had in a while, since Rita told us the entire plan from the beginning with everyone just refusing to believe it. what we did get was a setup for Yanma and the seeds of what could be Dugdead's master plan. But for this episode, I gotta end up giving it the Bioman B! What? That's just you Rita stains being salty! Which, speaking of, the map at the end of the previous episodes was gone this week, with us not really seeing that Rita has retaken the land. An odd omission, even if it was because they didn't know what shot to show of Rita, either face covered or the new face uncovered. The episode in itself was really just fan service for those who are on one side of the Rita boat, as many who seemed to originally love Rita's more neutral path and preferred that over the feminine approach of Himeno were completely falling over themselves once Rita sported the e-girl look. And I'm just like saying, that's like calling red velvet cake banana flavored. Liars! Either way, because Hillbill presented themselves in this episode, that freed up Nkasopa for a hot second. And knowing how fast these guys can cross vast oceans, it's easy to see that they've taken advantage of the vacancy. The thing is, this ultra computer that Yama developed that I don't think we had any foundations of prior to this episode. Or did we? Because it seems that this is the payoff to his incarceration in the beginning of this time skip arc. Since remember, Yama was arrested for redirecting all of the world's power into developing his ultra computer. It's the only one of the king's crimes from the sequence that seems to have gotten any payoff. Maybe we'll see the Boski's Anteater in action soon enough. Or have Himeno's megaton fireworks directly lead to the creation of the Boom Boomgers. Though for it being a supercomputer, the irony is that it looks exactly like an Atari 2600 game. Though, from the looks of the preview, I guess he plugs in that thing almost instantly since Nkasopa looking complete in every single shot. The major reveal of the episode, however, is that Minongan, which abbreviated would likely be the reason why we got that whole MNG line, he was referring to himself, is probably the favorite of Dugdead, or likely his ace in the hole. The revelation that the inside of him is filled to what looks to be tardigrades, which is what Dugdead's head encases, or possibly even larvae. So either all the jesters are somewhat an extension of him, or Minongan is a special case, since it falls in line with what he's based on. He can either have a nest or more of himself just waiting to strike, or hasn't really reached full maturity yet. Dugdead did seem to baby him this episode, which, looking at the bunch, they really just seem like your stereotypical dysfunctional bunch of siblings. But another thing to consider is that if the jesters are in some way held together by Dugdead, like how MNG might be, then it would also explain Grody's immortality, and why the other jesters just can't seem to be killed. Maybe the trick in doing in Dugdead is really having either the jesters turn against him, or the jesters in general are the key to taking him down. But yeah, next week we get another Yama-focused episode, which is sure to the light, while this week we got little in terms of narrative for Rita. Sure, out of all the kings, they are the only one with living parents. That's kinda neat. Rita is likely no longer going to be as recluse. But for real though, if Grody technically rehabilitated all those prisoners with a spell, why break it? We didn't get to see what plan he actually had in store. It's just that Goody Two-Shoes are quick to say yes to anything. Rita could have probably just asked nicely for them to get back in their cells, and they probably would have done it. Or make use of their new good nature to be their new police force. Which, look, that right now, that's smooth brain mentality. You gotta put some wrinkles in there. Big brain. So, what did you all think about this week's Rita Idol? The Ultra Computer and the face-off between Rita and Hillbill that isn't released in any way, shape, or form. Anyway, that's it from me. Until next time, bye.